Hi, I'm Carrie Patrick, your host for Eye on St. Lucie. Don't let summer slide away. Parents, community members, and students, are you in search of quality resources and activities to support academic studies this summer? Well, look no further. Don't let the summer slide away when you have resources for reading, language arts, mathematics, science, social studies, arts and technology, college and career, and ELL right at your fingertips. Stay tuned as we learn more about these free resources that are available to help stop the summer slide. Well, we're so happy to have you here on today's show. We've got a lot of great things to talk about, and it is the summer, and this is a grand opportunity to learn more about resources that are available for parents. Eye on St. Lucie gives us a chance to talk about policies and procedures in the district, and we always like to give our audience an opportunity to learn more about our guest. So Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what your role is in the district?
Sure. My name's Liz Pruitt. I am the coordinator of curriculum, so that means I work with other colleagues of mine to ensure that we have quality resources for our students for kindergarten through 12th grade. So we're really looking to help support our children in understanding the standards and being able to have the resources that they need in order to make that accomplished.
Thank you very much. And that plays right into the fact that we have quality teachers, because quality teachers, quality resources, quality classrooms. And we recently are very thankful that a referendum was passed, and that is definitely supporting quality instruction and quality educators in the classroom.
All right. Liz, many parents have probably heard of this term, summer slide. What does that mean?
So unfortunately, summer slide isn't like a fun slide on the water or at the park or the playground. Instead, summer slide really has to do with the decline in the ability of student performance during the summer. And so a lot of times when we don't practice something that we've been working on throughout the entire school year, we suddenly stop, then we kind of slide back and regress on what we've been doing during the whole school year. So summer slide is that regression that we often see when we stop doing something that we've been doing all year. So a lot of times we think of like if you learn to play a violin, for example, and if you were practicing learning a violin and then you stopped, would you remember it right away when you go back 3 months later to try to play? Well, that's what summer slide is all about, is that when we have materials and we've been working so hard during the school year, and we suddenly stop for 3 months, we don't necessarily start right back up where we were in May, and we kind of regress and we have to learn some things over again. So summer slide is that process where we have to start back over, kind of learn some and fill in some of those pieces throughout the year.
And the good news is St. Lucie County has really been thoughtful in that process, and we want to deter that. So we've got resources available that are online for parents, for students, and for community organizations, and they're all free. So let us know a little bit more about where we can find those and how they're organized.
Absolutely. So on the St. Lucie Public School website, we have an area that's called Summer Slide. And these resources are organized by grade band. So you are able to see VPK, kindergarten through 5th, 6th through 8, 9 through 12, and even a summer camp area as well. And each of these bands allows us to appropriately talk about what resources are for which students that we're serving here in St. Lucie Public Schools.
And our website is www.stlucieschools.org, and the information that you talked about is right there on the homepage in several locations. They just need to click on the icon, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly what they need to do. Okay. And then from there, it's got the 4 different bands that you're able to click on and be able to see resources that are developed for arts or reading or math or science or social studies or a variety of different categories within each of those pieces.
Who are these resources available to? Who do you expect to be able to use these?
A lot of organizations have already reached out about some of these pieces. So we know that the some summer camps are working on using some of these resources, and that would include the Boys and Girls Club and Port St. Lucie summer camps, and parents, of course, would be a number one resource of these a number one consumer of these resources.
So, you know, I'm a parent, and I'm trying to help my child. Will I be familiar with what these resources are, or my child, or is it going to be a learning curve for me?
So a lot of the resources are things that are continued throughout the school year. So we have things like iReady and Reading Plus, which students already know how to log into. But on top of that, we have resources that are a little bit new and not necessarily familiar with our students. And this allows us to have opportunities to kind of glance and kind of look through some new resources and some parent involvement that we can do as a family in order to ensure that we're learning and growing together.
I have a little grandchild, and she's getting ready to go into VPK. And I believe there's a site on there that is specific to VPK, and it's called Creative Activities, correct?
Absolutely. So creative activities is one of my favorite aspects for our youngest audience. And that's really because they're activities that are focused on student hands-on materials. So it's an opportunity to kind of learn and play at the same time. So there's even something like a popcorn sculpture. So using popcorn and some marshmallow, kind of building some 3D shapes and those types of things helps students talk about what they're doing, but also be able to work hands-on and have a family fun activity that kind of corresponds.
I just heard family fun. So this is not just student-oriented. It is something that will engage the entire family, create a conversation about education. Let's scoot on up the scale, K through 5.
Sure. So if we go to kindergarten through 5th grade, there's, again, all different types of tabs within the website, and one is within science. And one of the things that I know all kids are curious. So there's a website called Wonderopolis that is really driven to kind of answer those student questions about wonders in the world. For example, there's one within Wonderopolis about why mice eat cheese. And so students can explore that topic, and then there's activities that follow along. And if your student isn't able to read that material yet because of their grade level, they can listen to it online and then still participate in activities that are focused on why mice eat cheese.
Now you have my curiosity piqued. All right, and you talked about science with our K through 5, so STEM is so important in our education: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and of course STEAM with the arts. But we have coding involved in this, and that's a very high-level skill. And I believe that's into the middle school with 6 through 8?
Absolutely. So 6 through 8, we have got some technology resources that have been identified. And one of my favorite is code.org. And code.org really talks to students about how to code. And so that's something that we want our students to be able to do. And there's activities within the hour of code. So there's one that's called Dance Party, and students are able to create different characters and have them do dance moves and those types of things. And they can have a whole party going on of all these different characters making these dances up as they kind of go along. But the key about it is that they're learning how to code in order to have all these characters moving. So you're learning a little bit about how computer programming works and how you have to give commands and how those commands work together and how you have to put them in a certain order to make them look the way that you want them to look. And so it's a great activity that allows students to really focus on being able to see line by line how something works and how something interacts within the computer world.
That's fantastic. There's another one that's geared more toward our high school audience in the 9 through 12 components. And I know my children used it. I used it when I was in the classroom as a teacher. Outstanding resource, Khan Academy. not just for the summer, but for the summer and beyond?
Absolutely. So we have a partnership with College Board, and with that partnership, we have access to Khan Academy. And so students that have taken the PSAT 8 and 9, as well as PSAT NMSQ, which is the 10th grade PSAT, as well as SAT, have pathways through Khan Academy. And these pathways help identify areas of need in order to help support our students to become college and career ready. And we really want students to have individualized pathways so that they're able to meet their goals for high school graduation. And so each of the Khan Academy activities are geared towards what your need is as a student. And then we're able to build those skills up. So when it comes to September and October, when those assessments come right back around, we really haven't had that slide of information. We really can continue with our growth as we become starting our 1920 school year.
Fantastic, thank you.
I know another resource that maybe high school parents have heard of is Naviance. Is that something that students can use over the summer as well?
Absolutely. Naviance is a great activity and a great resource that we have throughout the entire school year. And it allows our students to do some activities that make them college or prepare them to be college and career ready. So they have access through the entire year of Naviance to help plan that college and career and be able to do activities that are centered around learning study skills and those types of things as we kind of move forward.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the component where students can work on a resume or find the best college match?
Sure. So within Naviance, there are activities that allow students to search based off of their GPA and their interests. And so they do a survey within Naviance, and it allows them to be able to see what pathway is best for them. And since we input school grades and GPAs within Naviance, it says if you've done this, these are great activities that you can kind of do, or these careers have these GPA requirements, and it allows us to kind of say and tailor what we need to do next year in order to make those gains and goals that we have for further years.
Okay. I know you had mentioned previously that some of these resources are the resources that students are using throughout the school year. If they go on to, for example, iReady, are they going to be doing the same activities that they did during the school year?
So iReady has the opportunity to do a couple of different things. So during the school year, we really worked on perhaps using the pathway that is geared towards student achievement at the time. So they've been assigned specific activities throughout the school year. Now, during the summer, it's a great opportunity for our students to work on the skills that they may not have mastered yet. So the pathway that they originally had allows them to continue through working on the skills that have been identified for the students on things that they need to continue working on. Since we last took our diagnostic assessment in May, then students have a new pathway that has been identified so that they can continue to work on where they need to go within the summer.
Great, thank you.
All right. And Liz, you mentioned a couple of things about parents working with their children and the benefits that it brings to the table. This is also a way to strengthen the partnership from home to school and school to home. So just as a review, what are some of the benefits that our parents can expect to gain from these resources?
So like we talked about before, we want to make sure that our students don't regress during the summer. So by using these types of resources that we have available, students are going to continue learning. And with that continued pathway to learning, we're going to help support students coming in August to be on the best pathway for them to continue to learn and grow throughout the school year. And that's our goal in St. Lucie Public Schools, is really to provide students with the learning that should occur at the rate that they should be learning. And so we really want to continue that pathway. Even though we're off for 3 months, doesn't mean that learning stops. And even as adults, we're constantly growing and learning and doing those types of things together. And we want our students to be able to do that during the summer and know that learning always happens. It doesn't have to happen just in a school setting, but we continue to learn and grow throughout everything that we do.
Thank you.
You know, we know how important it is for students of all ages to be reading every day. Do you have any tips to share with parents so that they can encourage their students to read throughout the summer?
So reading is an essential skill that everybody should be doing. And research says that only 20 minutes a day really helps students gain a lot throughout the entire summer. So when we think about 10 tips maybe that would help support learning, the first thing is to do is let students choose their own books, because really when students have choice, they're able to kind of grow and learn and do what their interests them. Try reading outside. That would be another tip for students. You know, take the book and a flashlight and go under the stars and see what we have. Try tracking student performance as well of how much they're reading every day, because really we've got some trackers and they're listed on Summer Slide, like scholastic.com. They can track their minutes and see how many minutes they're reading throughout the entire summer. We always say aim for 11 books through the summer, and the 11 books shows that that's the average amount that we read in about 3 months. So we want to make sure that students still use 11 books as their benchmark for the summer. You know, a lot of times now, ebooks are the way to go, and we've got Kindles and we've got iPhones and iPads and those types of things. And there's so many free books out there that students can be reading on devices, and that would be a great way to kind of engage students in reading this summer. And build a summer library. You know, the library is open every Monday through Thursday during the summer. And so we know that students are able to do that and go in and kind of explore the library and see what they have to as options, or even go to some of the bookstores that we have around here to find some of those great resources that students want. And one of the other things is not just fiction stories we want nonfiction stories as well. So being able to have students reading about things that interest them throughout the entire world. So for example, if students really like stars or the planets or the earth and they want to know more about it, then let's take a look at those nonfiction resources that explain how that works in our environment. And be a reading role model. And when it's a family affair, students end up picking up books because you're picking up books as an adult. And so we really want that to be a family affair and be that reading role model. And get crafty as well. That's a great way to do it too. And like create different activities or pieces that are centered around the favorite character in the book. Harry Potter is one of my favorite series, and so creating wands or wizards or hats and those types of things with students would be a great way to interact with the characters and what they're reading. And really look around our resources in our area. So go beyond what's sitting within our resources, but as we're walking around and looking at different areas, have kids read the different placards that are around and kind of showcase that there's learning to happen, there's reading and learning everywhere that we go.
You know, you've hit upon so many vital and vibrant opportunities for literacy expansion, and they're good indoors, outdoors, at home, traveling, on vacation. I'm so happy to hear that you mentioned the library as well, because we have libraries that are peppered throughout the county, and each and every one have grand opportunities, not just to select books, but they have programs in place that are very, very engaging for families, the whole family. So you've shared so many things, and I know we can branch out more into mathematics and others. So what other recommendations do you have?
So learning can happen everywhere. So when we go into real world skills, it's important that we have students do some activities with us every day. How many of us go grocery shopping with our little ones? Have them just have a piece of paper and the receipts and kind of see how much is it going to cost if we buy this brand of cereal versus this brand of cereal. Have them find the difference, or really adding up all the different groceries that we want. How many different ways can we add, subtract, multiply, and divide? And then if we're going on a trip, give the student the map or your child a map, and really have them determine what's north, what's south, what's east, what's west, and having them read the different keys and ideas on the map. Have them measure how far from one place to another place it's going to be. And then if they're older students, have them convert into how many minutes would that take to go that far. And flashcards, and for mathematics, is one of the greatest things that we can do is practice our basic math facts. So even if we create our own math flashcards, it's a great opportunity for students to learn and practice. 3 minutes a day with math facts is a great way to build fluency as we continue. You know, we have great neighbors all throughout St. Lucie Public Schools, and our neighbors have a wealth of information. So if I have a set of library books, why don't I switch and swap with other people around me so that we don't necessarily have to go to the library every week, but maybe our neighbors have some books that we can kind of be interested in and read and build that community of learners as well. And, you know, during the summer, we don't stop eating and feeding ourselves, so cooking is a great family activity, and especially for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, talking about those fractions that when we're baking a cake and that we need a half a cup of this or a 1/4 of a teaspoon of that, what does that really mean? And how many of those make a whole cup, and those types of things, and conversions, and those activities help build those fractional knowledges that students have learned throughout the school year but should continue learning throughout the year. And again, our environment around here has so many things to do, and the Historical Society of Fort Pierce has a great area, and the Smithsonian Museum has some great activities that are open throughout the entire summer. And so bringing our students to those opportunities and having them discover what Fort Pierce and Port St. Lucie have to offer would be great activities for us to continue our learning as students and families throughout this entire journey.
And it also helps them to become very, very responsible citizens. They know more about their community. They appreciate and respect where they live, learn, and grow. Now, you've talked about so many resources and things that we can do over the summer, and many of these are a continuation of what is going on throughout the school year. What happens in the classroom sets the tone for what children do, you know, really throughout the day. You all in the curriculum department and professional development provide so many opportunities for our teachers to learn and grow and to dive deeper into not only these type of activities, but connecting them with the standards. And there's a lot of professional learning going on this summer with our teachers. So what are some of the things this summer that our teachers are learning to be just that much more prepared for our students when they do return?
So we have so many opportunities this summer for our teachers to learn and grow within their craft. So some of the things and activities that we're doing is, one is our Canvas, which is our learning management system. And so we've had teachers come and administrators come all summer to learn more about how we can interact with the digital world as well as the print world, and how can we marry those two things together to enhance student learning and student outcomes. So this summer, teachers have come through and come into a couple of days of learning to learn more about how to create an online environment within their classroom. But we also have reading and math activities. So the past 3 days we've had math professional development. So we've been talking about math review and how to ensure that students have a progression of standards so that they don't forget what they did months ago, and how can we embed that into our learning as we continue to grow and learn new topics. We've also done a lot on problem solving in mathematics and really looking at how can we take a problem that is posed to our students and really work on expanding that knowledge and getting some information out of students by asking questions and start interrupting their learning and kind of see where that problem kind of evolves around and how it evolves for students to understand and be able to do. We've also had DBQ, which is our document-based questioning learning that has gone through as well. And we've partnered with, in science, we've partnered with our Florida Power and Light to have a professional development for teachers this summer that kind of explores resources that we can be using in the classroom to enhance what we're doing in our regular curriculum. And so we have that to look forward to in July. We also have been doing a lot on small group instruction and meeting the needs of our students at where they are within the learning. So we've been working with K through 5 teachers on how does small group and whole group look within our classroom, and how can we help support the learning that goes on in each of those places. So we really want to dive into what needs we have in our classrooms for our diverse learners and be able to kind of drive those different pieces out and kind of make sure our teachers are well prepared in order to make those classrooms engaging, exciting, and really a place for students to learn at their level with the skills and things that they need.
Wow, that is fantastic. There's so much going on. The summertime is definitely a time to continue our learning process, to continue to grow and dive deeper into those things that we are curious about, as you mentioned earlier. What a fantastic opportunity you provide to our parents, to our students, and to our community. We thank you so very much. And I'm just going to make sure that we repeat once again where those resources are located on our website, and that is www.stlucieschools.org. All parents, students, or community members need to do is just click on that summer slide icon, and they are catapulted right into the portal for all of these fantastic resources. So again, we thank you for being here today, and as the school year gets started in August, we know that we'll have you back as a guest so we can find out more about some of the fantastic things going on within our classrooms in St. Lucie County. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Carrie Patrick, and this is WLX TV. On behalf of the station's team, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. That's all for this show, but we invite you to follow us, like us, and watch us on our social media outlets. And as always, keep your eye on St. Lucie.